Hello everyone, and welcome to my 3x3x5 tutorial. Before I get into all the details on how to solve it, I'd recommend you know the Friedrich method for the 3x3, as it will come in handy in this tutorial. Basically, the 3x3x5 is solved similarly to a big cube. What we will do is solve the corners, then we'll solve the edges, and then we'll just solve it like a 3x3. Because of the style of the solution, I would recommend this method only to non-shape-shifting 3x3x5s, like this one, from Cube4U. If you have a shape-shifting 3x3x5, it will likely be shape-shifting the whole solution, and this might not be the solution for you. The method I described of solving the corners, then the edges, and solving like a 3x3x3 is only a rough idea of how my solution is broken down. It is actually broken down into 7 steps. Step 1 is to get a bottom cross. Step 2 is to get bottom corners. Step 3 is to solve the corners. Step 4 is doing F2L and OLL. Step 5 is to solve the edges. In step 6 we have a 3x3, and we're to solve the 3x3x3 bottom edges. And the final step is PLL, and your 3x3x5 should be solved. Let's begin with how to scramble this thing. You're going to want to do R2 and L2 moves before we shape-shift the cube, so that we can scramble all the corners and all the edges effectively. Like this. Now we can scramble like a 3x3. That's a pretty good scramble. So, the first step is to get the bottom cross. This is very simple. Choose either yellow or white, and build a yellow or white cross. Actually, the edges don't need to be all white or all yellow. It can be a mix. Here's an example of getting a white cross. Once we have the cross, step 2 is to get the bottom corners. Like getting the cross, it doesn't matter if a corner is yellow or white. This is a lot like getting the bottom corners using the 3x3 beginner's method. Step 3 is to solve all 8 corners, as if there were 3x3 corners split in half. I'll be using standard cube notation on the outer layers. Here's an R, here's an R prime, this is an F, this is an F prime. This is a U, that's a U prime. This is a D, and this is a D prime. This step is a lot like solving edges on a 4x4, but with corners instead. Instead of preserving centers, we're preserving this bottom layer, so we can turn the bottom. We can turn the bottom layer. Once we have solved the corner, say red, blue, we can switch it with the corner on the top that is unsolved. Say this one. Now the solved corner's on the top and out of the way of this layer. Let's do that for 4 of them. Okay, we have none here we can use, so let's bring one down. This green red can be put with this green red, and we switch it with this corner. Blue, orange, blue, we can switch it with this one. Now that we have 4 on the top, we can no longer replace any more on the top. We solve one of them, like this, and then we have 3 left. Once we have 4 or less unsolved corners left on the bottom, we solve one of them so that we have 2 or 3 unsolved corners left. So here's an example: we have 3, and this blue-orange has to go here. The 3 corner cases are very simple to solve. It is done a lot like this case on the 4x4, where we have 3 edges left. If the corners cycle right like this one, all we need to do is this algorithm. We bring the rightmost corner above the middle corner. So this corner is going to go up like this. And then we're going to bring this blue-orange corner to this corner. Have it turned like this. And you see that the corners have been solved. If the corners cycle left like this, the leftmost corner is here, and the rightmost corner turns into this corner and gets solved. It's basically the same thing. Turn the cube like this, and bring the leftmost corner to the top. And if you have a corner up top like that, you're going to do L prime, U prime, L. Now this corner is above the second corner. And then just do the cycle with the corner halves using D prime, R, U, R prime, D. And the corner should be solved. If you have only two unsolved corners remaining, like this, green, red, and red, blue, all you have to do is D or D prime, and it will be turned into a three-corner case. Once you've solved the corners, step 4 is to do F2L on the cross we already have, and then orient the last layer. During this step, we are pretending the cubes is 3x3. Here's an example. That's one pair. That's two pairs. Three pairs and four pairs. Here's F2 OLL. If you have a shape-shifting 3x3x5, you'll have a cuboid by the end of this step.